This video is the start of something I've wanted to do for years. In 3 weeks' time, I am going on a 5-month trip to Asia. Today, I'm gonna be taking you through every single thing I'm doing to prepare for my trip, and that is starting with a gym session. I've been trying to get in shape, ready for this trip for a few months now. So we've got 3 weeks to go. Let's get into it. Big session today on the cards. It's actually my first training session of the week. It takes me a while to get to the gym in the mornings because I live way out in the desert in Dubai. So it's a good 30 to 40 minute drive, but it's well worth it to use the awesome gyms that I train at. Be sure to stick around because after this, I'm going to be running through exactly what I'm doing to prepare for such a long trip to Asia coming up. We got 5 months planned and I'm super excited. But like I said, big session today, shoulders, back, arms, we're hitting it all. Solid session, putting in the work. I've actually been preparing since about January for this trip and I'm down around 10 pounds. It is super important to me with my job, working with my one-to-one fitness clients online. Super important to me that I stay in shape and I set the standard of what it is that we do at Vision Fit. I want to show each and every one of the clients I work with that it is possible to travel and still stay in shape, still stay on track, no matter the circumstances. So let's dive in to what I'm doing to prepare for 5 months of travel. When planning a trip like this one, the very first thing you need to figure out is how long am I going for and where am I going? So the plan initially is to be traveling for around 5 months. This is always subject to change for me anyway. Your trip might be a little bit more set in stone. For me, I like to do things a little bit more on the fly, but 4 to 5 months is kind of that target of what I'm aiming for. So figuring out where you want to go is the number one thing you need to do. So for me, I'm kicking off the trip with Thailand, then I will likely be moving on to Vietnam, Bali, and then we'll see where we go from there. But that is the current structure we are looking at and where I'm looking to head. I'm not much of an actual backpacker. I'm more of just a digital nomad. Traveling is a part of my lifestyle and I've always preferred to stay in places a little bit longer than some people would. If you're doing a big trip like this, you may be thinking you want to do a couple of days here, a couple of days there. That doesn't really work for me. You know, I work online, I coach clients online, I'm an online fitness coach. I like to base myself down for a little while and really get familiar with the place. I find doing around a month in a certain area really allows me to explore and enjoy the place and see if I really like it. So I've kind of figured out my travel schedule based on month periods, and there's a lot of benefit to doing this as well in terms of accommodation, which I'll get to. That brings me to point number 2, which is budgeting for the trip. When you're going traveling like this and you're just going to be on the go constantly, it's very easy to just blow all of your cash and resources and you can come back pretty skint. So I'm trying to budget the best I can for this trip, and that means being smart with accommodation. Like I said, doing the monthly stay really helps because often if you book for a month, you can get quite a large discount on your accommodation. I've seen up to 40, 50% off accommodation if you book for a month compared to just a few nights or a week. Obviously, if you are doing just a couple days or shorter stays, it gives you that flexibility. But again, if you're looking to save cash and you are happy to stay in a certain area for a certain time frame, doing a monthly stay can make a big difference. So I either use booking.com or more likely I'll use Airbnb. I find Airbnb better for apartments. I find booking.com usually a bit better for hotel type of stays. Obviously, cost of accommodation is a big thing. So I try to be kind of moderate, find a little bit of an in-between. Everyone's gonna have a different budget of what they want to spend month to month. For me, in my case, I'm off to Asia. Accommodation is a lot cheaper. I don't need a crazy 3-bedroom apartment or villa or anything like that. So I'm pretty happy with a studio or a 1-bedroom place. So the kind of price range I'm looking for is honestly anywhere from around $400 US up to around $900 US for the entire month. On top of your accommodation, you've also got some other costs that some people don't even really think about too much. The biggest spender I've found in the past is food. Because you're eating out all the time, especially in somewhere like Asia where the food is generally cheaper, it can add up very, very fast when you're eating out every single day. So setting yourself a daily budget can really help. Personally, I find around a $30 budget per day to be a pretty good range in terms of food. That way you get a lot of flexibility in what you want to have, and you've got a lot to play with in that sense. Although when I'm there, I'll obviously get a better gauge on how much I'm spending, and if I need to rein it in, I can, or if I find myself with a little bit left over, I can always spend a little bit more. The other two expenses that I really notice are the bike rental. When I'm in Asia, I'm always renting a scooter. This can range from around $100 to anywhere up to $200 probably US per month, depending on the size of the bike you get. And then the last one for me is a gym membership. I'm a super active person. I'm an online fitness coach. I take my fitness very seriously and I base a lot of stuff around it. I actually pick my accommodation, usually making sure that it is nearby a good gym to go to. It really depends on what you're looking for. Again, the gym is something that's important to me. I usually try and get myself a good gym, so I'm happy to pay a little bit more for it because it's something I really enjoy. And again, it depends on the location you are in. If you're in somewhere like Thailand, which is where I'm going first, I find that the month membership there is usually around $40. Or if I'm going to somewhere like Bali, it gets crazy and you're talking more like $200 to $250 for the month. So a massive difference, but it really is gym dependent. Again, in somewhere like Bali, there is much cheaper options, but it really depends what you want to get out of the place you are in. But leaving yourself a budget for your gym membership, or if you do Muay Thai, whatever you do, you need to think about it, because in some of these places you go, even in Asia, it can end up quite expensive on a monthly basis, again, depending on the type of environment you want to train in. The next thing, number 3, that I've been doing is obviously planning the flights. Finding good flights is always a little bit of a challenge, but you just need to be on the ball and really keep a lookout for the ups and downs, because every single day they change. Obviously, booking in advance is going to make a massive difference. The later you leave it, whether it's accommodation or flights, the more expensive things are going to get for you and the less option you have. So if you can book in advance, wait for that dip in the price and you'll probably get yourself a better deal. So I've been booking all of my flights through Skyscanner. That usually gives me all of the best options and I do everything through there. One important key thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you go to a different country, often going into the country, they require you to have a flight leaving the country. Sometimes as well, going into the country, they will also require you to show proof of accommodation. I remember going to Bali back in 2023 and I got to the passport control, the border control. He would not let me through because I did not have proof of my booking for longer than a week. And obviously my exit flight was 1 month later, but because my accommodation was only booked for a week, he would not let me go through because I couldn't prove that I was staying somewhere for the remaining 3 weeks. So I ended up having to get on the phone to my dad to be like, can you please book me a hostel, the cheapest thing you can find for the remaining 3 weeks, just so I can actually get into the country. So there's a few things you can do around this. Like I said, booking a really cheap hostel for the duration of your stay isn't a bad shout. I think I just honestly got unlucky that day, but these are the type of things that can happen if you're not aware. It's never happened to me since or before. A lot of the times in somewhere like Bali, they actually have like an e-gate now. They didn't back then. But going to Thailand and stuff, they don't have this. Sometimes you just need to be on the ball and be prepared for a scenario. So if you can book your accommodation up front and you know where you're staying, that's always that safety net and you can't really go wrong by doing that. But if you want the flexibility of not knowing where you're going to be, it can cause you some problems down the line. So again, just something to be aware of. The flight out is usually the biggest problem for me because I don't usually know how long I'm going to stay somewhere. There are a few other services that you can use. There's one called Onward Travel. I've never personally used this, but I've heard good things. Apparently it works where it basically books a reservation for you and you don't have to physically book a flight. But if you can decide where you are going next, that is usually a good thing. Number 4 is travel logistics. So the little details that you don't think about, like travel insurance, international driving licenses, visa requirements, eSIMs, the lot. So when it comes to travel insurance, I use one consistently all the time. I use it pretty much year round, and it is SafetyWings. This one is really good for digital nomads, so I highly recommend it. It's around $60 or so per month, so it's not gonna break the bank, and it's kind of just on a subscription, so you can kind of just do it, forget about it, enjoy your travels. And the beauty of SafetyWings is you can do it when you're actually already in the country, whereas sometimes with travel insurance, you have to do it before you leave your home country, which can be a little bit annoying if you're kind of already there and you're like, oh snap, I need some travel insurance, and you didn't think about it ahead of time, so it is a good one. Secondly, here is the international driving license. This is something you may not think you need, but you do. Your driving license may be valid kind of all over the world, but in a lot of these countries, you do need to get an international driving license. And I've been in Thailand, Bali, and I've been stopped many times. And I showed them my normal UK driving license, and they tried to send me to the police station and give me a fine. It was only when I showed him my international driving license that he said, off you go, make sure you show this in the future because that is what is required. So you can usually get these online, or in most places you can actually go to like a post office, I think it usually is. When I got mine in the UK a few years ago, I got it from the post office. It cost me like £5. It was nothing crazy, and I got two different ones that were valid in different places. Now, I actually had a little bit of trouble this year getting my one here because I now reside in the UAE. So I got one based off of my UAE driving license, which was again very challenging to get. I had a lot of trouble getting it, but I figured out the easy route in the end, and it was just again going to the Emirates post office here in Dubai, and I was able to get one over the counter within 20 minutes, and it cost me, I believe, just under 200 dirhams. So that's around £40 or around 50 to 55 US dollars. So a lot more expensive maybe than other countries, but it's something you need, so I had to get it. When you are traveling to these countries, you have to make sure that you are checking the visa requirements. As someone from the UK, a lot of these countries, I pretty much can just do the visa on arrival. Make sure you are checking online which countries you are going to and if you need yourself a visa, because it's very important. They will not let you in. Last one here is the eSIM. Having data whilst you are abroad is super important. I've done the in-country SIM cards, like when you get to the airport and you get through security, there will be a ton of counters, especially like in Thailand, where you can get yourself a SIM card and they'll just replace your old one, put the new one in, and you're kind of good to go. That is a very easy thing to do, but something I like to do now usually is do an eSIM. It means I can keep my usual SIM card in my phone, and then I can just turn on my data for the new eSIM. So as soon as the plane lands, I literally go into my settings on my phone and I make sure to switch over my SIM card to my new eSIM. I turn that on and I have data straight away, and you can buy the different packages and see which one works best for you. I love it when they have an unlimited one, but it's not always the case. So sometimes you have to just do what you can and get the best deal you can. I use one called Airalo. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but they seem to have some really good deals. It's the one I've used on my last few trips and it works perfectly fine, really well. So I do recommend that one. I'm not linked with them by any means, but it's the one I use personally, and yeah, highly recommend it. It is really good. Number 5 is packing. Now, I'm gonna be on the go for like 4 or 5 months or so, so I'm literally just taking one suitcase and everything is gonna have to fit in there. So when I'm going to hot countries, I don't really pack too much warm stuff. I will pack like one long pair of trousers, maybe one jumper that I can wear at the airport, and that is it. I try and pack really minimal, because when you are in these countries, there is a ton of markets and you are going to buy a lot of stuff. So really pack light, and when I say pack light, I mean it. Please pack light. You need to pack light because you are going to accumulate stuff, and the last thing you want to do is pay extra baggage fees or have to leave something behind because you have bought so much stuff. For me and my packing, the majority of my stuff is just clothes and shoes. And obviously I have a decent amount of like camera equipment. I have a few cameras and stuff, so I will be taking that alongside like my laptop and etc. All the stuff I need to do my coaching, work with my clients, and then obviously film content to keep doing this stuff. There's a couple of little extras that I don't think people really think about, and that is getting yourself a travel adapter. Every country is going to have a different plug socket, so make sure you've got a travel adapter that does USB, USB-C, kind of allows you to plug in everything, and it sets you up perfectly for any country that you go to. It is an essential, and you will use it constantly, trust me. You probably also want to get yourself a power bank, because when you're on the go and you're using your phone constantly, it will die. So make sure you've got some backup battery power. Having a battery pack that you can carry around is an essential purchase. Make sure you get one of those. And the last thing is download yourself offline Google Maps for wherever you are going, because if you do run out of signal, you don't have data, you've got yourself Google Maps so you can still get around and navigate even without rinsing your data. It is an essential. So that is pretty much the end of my travel guide, you could call it. I'm feeling pretty prepared for this trip. I am more than ready to go. Hopefully you are feeling more prepared after this for your own trip. Let me know in the comments where you are thinking or planning to go, if anywhere, and I hope you found this helpful in some way. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next video.